All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of council of November 15th. On behalf of Councillors Inkster and Rowe, both of whom have late family emergencies, so they're not with us today. But the other five of us are, so I'll look to council for a motion to adopt the agenda, and if there's any conflicts, and okay, all in favor of adoption, carried. First of all, then, it's my pleasure to proclaim Restorative Justice Week from November 19th to the 25th. And we have Donna Schmerler here who wants to say a couple of words on behalf of the Restorative Justice Group. So come on up and yeah. Here, let's see how this press. Yes, unlike us. Yes. If you press. Oh, no, you don't. One there.
There we go. All right.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, hello, everybody. So my name is Donna Schmerler, and I'm the board president for the Restorative Justice Program at the Sunshine Coast. And I want to thank you, Mayor and Council and District of Sechelt, for your very generous and ongoing support of our program. It's been many years and many different mayors and councils that have been supporting us. I think going back to the late 1990s. And I especially want to thank you for the use of the Rockwood Center that we've had since, I think, 2005. We love it there. We have offices upstairs, and then we use the other rooms for our restorative justice work, trainings. And when I'm in there, it feels like we're infusing the walls with all of these healing words. There's some pretty challenging conversations that have gone on in there over the years, but lots of healing has happened as well. So we're very happy to be there. So thank you for that. And thank you for the proclamation. It celebrates Restorative Justice Week, which is not only a Sechelt thing, but it's also a national and international celebration. So it's worldwide. As a way to engage the community, one thing that we're going to do next week is have information tables in the malls. And so I wanted to tell you about Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to be at Clayton's Mall from 12 to 4. And then Friday and Saturday, we're going to be at Sunnycrest Mall from 12 to 4. And the big news for us as a nonprofit society is that we got charitable status this year. And what that means is that any donations can receive a tax receipt. And we're really hoping that that's going to boost our donations, and that will make us very happy. Yeah, so I think that's, so how do you donate? So we have a website, Restorative Justice Program of the Sunshine Coast.ca, or if you put the initials RJPSC.ca. And you go to donate. It's all right there. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And
all right.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
Council.
Any questions or anything you want to ask?
That's my line.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Questions, Council? Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yes, thank you to the chair. I'm just wondering if you could tell us a little bit maybe how the programs have evolved over maybe the last 10 years and where you see them going in terms of training. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm very passionate and excited about restorative justice. So I have big dreams and big ideas about where it could go. But currently, we offer two kinds of programs. One we are calling the Community Justice Forum, and that's where people that have had done harm in the community, and it kind of goes through the RCMP. So instead of going to court, it would, if the people yeah, so bringing the people that have done harm together with the people that have been harmed and working our restorative processes that way. So that's, and then the other thing we do is peacemaking dialogue circles. And those can be, they can be issues around the community that need discussing, or they can be maybe some conflicts that's going on in a group or a work group. Yeah, so I think it's very timely because we're all pretty stressed out about war and conflict and things like that. So I think in the future, I mean, restorative justice is not a be all end all. It's not going to cause world peace necessarily, but I think it can be a piece of it, a piece of the pie that's moving us forward in a less punitive, revenge seeking, retributive way. Yeah, does that kind of answer? All right. A good question. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Can I?
Oops, now it's my turn. I didn't have the microphone on. Okay, thank you again, Donna, for all of that. Council, we moved to item 5.1, which is the Drag Racing Association request for some dates. And I guess this is before us for approval or other options as you wish. So how does council wish to proceed? Comments first or, yeah?
Yes,
Please.
through the chair. Just a clarification, we, in one of our meetings, they came forward with asking was for 3 years, right? And I
Mhm.
can't remember what we decided. Did we approve that at
No.
that point?
No.
No, it was just a proposal at that point. Okay, good. I'm wondering how this fits in terms of our decision-making around the visioning exercise we did at the airport. And some of the discussion we had there and some of the possible plans. I don't know if it impacts that. I know we had some discussion around the drag racing as well in that visioning exercise, but I just thought I'd bring that up as a discussion point
Right.
as to whether anything needs to be discussed there.
Do you have a view? Do you want, I mean, if it's, are you saying that in the sense that you feel 3 years is too long or?
Well, you know, I mean, I feel that in some ways, and then I think about what we talked about in that meeting, and it seems to me a lot of that is going to be fairly far out in terms of what we see. However, I guess my question would just be, I just don't want, if we've got some plans we want to move forward with, and we don't know what that is yet, because we're still in the visioning exercise. I don't want to be held up with making, with moving forward on a plan we really want to do if we've already committed to something such as
So,
the
yeah.
use of this.
So perhaps, am I right? Are we binding ourselves without any chance to change our minds?
Yeah,
if
I
we
just
needed
throwing that
to?
out for discussion in terms
Okay.
of what the rest of the council feel about that and thoughts are on.
Great, we'll keep that one in mind and anything from the rest of us. Yes, I'll, okay, go ahead, Councilman.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I think, you know, they've had it pretty well arranged with the weekends that they want. I mean, as far as I learned from our meeting at the airport, there's largely just recreational planes there. Now, I mean, I would rather support having more commercial flights go through there. I mean, if we're going through lighting and putting money and effort into a plan for an airport, to me, that implies a real airport that has more utilization. It also opens the possibility for us to get federal funding to do a proper terminal and do things. So I know what you're saying. I don't really see that being done in the next 3 years, but I also don't want to bind us in a way. So this is the predicament. I don't know if we can have like a caveat for the last year as in principle, we want to do that, but we would like to have the option of reviewing it, you know, before the new year so that we have that option. I know the first 1 or 2 years, I'm pretty confident that they can know that it's probably not going to change much at all, but going forward, I hope we can, with that plan, have some real plans for the airport. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Shepherd.
To the chair, if there is, I don't see that there's a conflict. I'm imagining that the airport management have seen this and don't have a problem with it, but if it's council feels that something could come out of the airport committee work, maybe we shorten this to 2 years. And that's something a bit safer.
Maybe I could turn that to staff. I mean, is the nature of the conversations about, hey, this is ironclad, or is it more a soft, hey, we're pretty inclined to do this, unless something else comes up?
Yeah, they always ask for more, right? The last council only gave them 1 year's. And, they just want to be able to advertise outward a little bit earlier, more magazines. So if, council saw fit for 1, 2, or 3, they would have to live with that.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the point really is, I think the nature, and as council knows, I know a number of the folks and have been can't drag racing an EV these days because of insurance. But I've been to them this year. They're flexible, I think, and I do respect that having some advance notice is good for marketing, and they sure bring in a lot of people. So I support that. The P-side flag is this recommendation, which I agree with, is to not have camping on the airport grounds during the session. And the other thing, and then you, Councillor Toth, is I would like to encourage staff and the drag racers to open up the airport for the 1 hour NOTAM, or lift the NOTAM at lunch hour each day. They did it in, I believe it was the September drag race, and we actually had a couple of planes take off and land, which was a real treat for the audience. You see a plane up close and personal. So I don't propose that be part of a formal motion. I think this is more of a general indication of the nature of our support, but I'd love to see that endorsed. Carry on. Thank you. Or please, bring it up, Councillor Toth.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm totally supportive of 2024 and 2025. There's nothing stopping them from coming to us in January of 2025, looking for 2026 approval, if we've got a better idea of what we're going to be doing in 2026. So I'd like to move the recommendation that council approve the request from the Sunshine Coast Drag Racing Association to schedule drag racing events at the Seashell Airport for 2024 and 2025.
Okay,
Thank you.
is there a seconder for that? Okay, see a second. Sorry, just have members of the public walk in, so just in time for a vote. Okay, so any other discussion on the motion? Please, Councillor Shepherd.
Sorry, Director Kern, did you have a point you wanted to make?
This wasn't included in the report, but your worship, we have a special event permit required every year that we have to issue regardless to the drag racers. So it would still be required yearly to get a special event permit. So when we issue those permits, we can add any particular conditions around the races every year for each year of the permit. This is more about a potential schedule. They still need to come back to us for approval and get a special event permit.
Come back to us.
As in
Staff.
to the staff.
Right. Okay, but that's sort of fine. Are we giving approval and then you guys can countermand that?
No, we will notify council if we have some reason to change that, but they still have to get a permit every year. So we would not be deviating from the schedule put forward, but on minor conditions such as camping, we can add those or remove those. And usually we have a meeting before the season with them on operational things. So I don't envision any changes, but they do have to get a permit every year.
I understand that, but we're not, I want to be clear with this proposal is they will be allowed to drag race in 24 and 25 on those dates. So the rest are kind of administrative details. Anything else? I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carries. Great. Thank you to the airport staff Consortium. We're working with them and the drag racing is a great group. I do encourage them. I know they've got some big plans to come up with alternative routes or drag strips or whatever that might be. And that's certainly part and parcel of what I know the previous council was very focused on. And I really expect they'll continue to work on that, see what they can come up with for all of us. Great. So council, in that case, we'll go on to SharePoint records management. Always interested when 4 different members of staff have signed a report. Is that good news or? So who's going to take the lead on this? Ms. Paulson?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, as you noted, it is an interdepartmental collaboration, and a new records management system will have quite a few changes for our entire organization. So it's the SharePoint system is one that many municipalities in BC are implementing, and some of its benefits, well, they're described in the report, but it's very user-friendly and it's easy to maintain. The system we have right now is very robust and certainly meets the security requirements and records management requirements for local government. However, the backend database is very complex and requires an advanced level of database administrator to keep it running, basically. It's also, it does have offsite cloud-based backup, but it doesn't operate in the cloud, which makes it a little bit more reliant on hardware that's sitting in this building as well. So a movement to the SharePoint system is, it's a really robust system that's very user-friendly. So we're looking forward to the change if council is able to endorse it.
Great, thank you. Councillor Top.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if there are other expenses than just the $14,000 that was mentioned for licensing. Are we going to need to increase our cloud storage? Is it going to incur additional cost for backups, things of that nature? And then a second question, in that, given that we're a remote community, we do end up with internet outages on a semi-regular basis. And how is that going to affect staff's ability to work and operate the organization? Thanks.
Yeah, you raised, that's a very good point. Ms. Paulson?
Well, the reliability of internet affects us whether we're in this building or at home or offsite as well. So part of the robustness of the Microsoft system is that it is so decentralized and it doesn't necessarily rely on one building, such as four servers sitting in our server room upstairs right now. So in that sense, we feel that it's because it's an industry standard as well, it's a fairly reliable choice for the municipality.
Right, you're talking now about SharePoint.
That's right.
Yeah, in terms of the internet, though, it's an interesting thing for resilience and emergency planning and whether we should in fact go to or have something at the ops center, a satellite, a Starlink system or something as a backup, which is a much bigger discussion than here today, but I think at least we have options. Your point, everybody that lost power this weekend, did you lose internet? You did, wow. Councillor Bell would like to turn a microphone and on and say that. Go ahead. Go ahead. You had a question?
Yes, just through the chair. So it looks, the Gibsons and SCRD are using this system. They've been on it for some time.
No, they're actually just embarking on their journey as well. So they're a little bit further ahead than us, I believe, in terms of they've already issued an RFP, and I believe the regional district is selecting a consultant to work with now. But they're on the same path as us and following many other municipalities across the province.
Okay, and my second question is there any opportunity to share any costs then based on the fact that we're all on the same path? Or is it individual consultants that come in and do it in each one of the areas? How does it work?
A little bit of both, actually. We've already shared in some shared training sessions to learn about the database architecture and how to set it up, which has been really helpful in selecting which type of system will fit our organization the best. In terms of designing the system itself, each organization operates a little bit differently. We all have different departments and services. So it's a matter of setting up sort of a folder library structure that fits with the operational needs of each department, which are actually very different from department to department. And it's a lot of customization, which is why we're looking forward to an expert consultant to help guide us through that process. After the system is implemented, one of the biggest advantages of SharePoint is that we can do a lot of customization, especially with respect to designing new workflows and automations ourselves in the back end without having to have a high-level database administrator to make those changes. Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Councillor McLaughlin, please.
Yes, thank you for the chair. To what extent are we using SharePoint now and what are we paying for it? And also, I'm wondering, are all the staff going to have to use SharePoint? Is it going to be the only way to exchange files? I mean, I used SharePoint in 2017 at the City of Calgary, and it was quite cumbersome actually, compared to what, you know, we were used to doing. And so I've noticed for one of the criticisms for not having older nurses work is the increased demands of technology on them. And they just are so frustrated with having to learn new programs, learn new things, learn new systems, that I don't want that to become a real burden on staff either. I mean, we have a lot of staff that really don't spend their days, luckily for them, at computers. But I think sometimes these programs can add a level of complexity and difficulty to the job. So if you could just update me on that and assure me that's not the case, because if it is the case, we might be better using it the way we currently use it to a certain extent, so that we use appropriate technology for the job, for the little place that we are, I think. And thank you.
Okay, I think the first question you asked was, do any staff use SharePoint currently?
Yes, currently SharePoint is used in different ways with different departments, but definitely with the sharing outside of the organization, it's a secure way to share large files right now. The intention would be to mirror the processes and operational structures that we already have in place, which, because there's been so many updates to SharePoint since 2016, that's much more user-friendly and it's much easier to do that. So we'd basically be taking a network drive structure and duplicating it on a SharePoint cloud-based platform. It will look a little different, but it's folders, it's files, we're going to be keyword tagging things with metadata. A lot of that work has actually already been done in our system with the preparation for the records management system that we have been working on implementing. So a lot of that background work is actually transferable over to the new system as well.
So it's, yeah, and the cost, sorry. Oh, okay, what, like license fees, when you say the cost, yeah.
That's right. We currently use Office 365 for our Microsoft platform, which includes a base version of SharePoint, and the increased cost is going to be the $14,000 that's mentioned in the report. I'm not sure what our current licensing cost is for Office 365, but Director Douglas may be able to.
The incremental cost
Okay.
for the new SharePoint, if that's the right term, is about $14,000. That be fair comment?
Yeah, well, the comment is our current software, which isn't Office 365 for file management, is
Right.
about 30,000 a year. So there'll be
For the on.
bit of
base
a, yeah,
30.
for on base.
So in
it's-
fact, make it
yes.
down a bit.
Yep.
All right, good, thank you. Please, Councilor Bell.
Just a comment around that was, but what I'm hearing is that this is a more efficient system. So in the long run, it could be a bit more cost effective. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think having a little knowledge of this, hopefully it should be more user friendly, almost like invisible to the user. You won't even know that you're using it. Hopefully. Councilor Shepherd?
My question as well is what savings are there over the existing system? Thank
My contribution to this is, could we let somebody else on the coast be first and benefit from what they learn. It's a serious question in the sense we talked, the only part of this that made me pause was hiring a consultant to do a bunch of work, and if there's stuff that we can take the benefit of somebody else being a wizard on already.
Yes, I'd say we definitely won't be first. We're a little bit behind the town of Gibson's and much further behind the regional districts. And by that I mean that they're further ahead with mapping out the project plan. It's mapping out all the different areas of the system that need to be included and all the different variations, records, retention classifications, and the different security policies. When you go, there's so many layers between security with all the personnel who are accessing the system, which is everybody who accesses a record. And a record is everything from a document to an image to a photo, video recordings, and everything like that. And then figuring out, the consultant is extremely helpful for each municipality to customize their system to be most effective when it comes to the retention and destruction schedules. And how that is managed, they help set up workflows as well.
We're getting into operation things, so I'll back off, but just, I'd hate to have two different systems or three different systems on the coast for what are essentially the same functions that each government is providing. So leave that as a lingering comment. Councillor Top?
Thank you. I just wanted to get clarification that the 14,000 in licensing is our ongoing costs that we expect. I had
Annual.
ongoing annual costs that we expect to incur. I did ask the question, but I didn't catch an answer to it. Thank you.
Yep, that's correct, although I'll defer to Director Douglas for any additional cost expectations.
Oh, that's ongoing. Right now it's 30,000. It'll go down to the 14.
Year.
And, you know, we do expect that if our data bank grows to a certain size, that sure, there might be some more storage costs down the road, but.
All right, council, we have in front of us a recommendation on page 8 of the agenda. Motion, thank you.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we support $244,000 be approved for the implementation of a SharePoint records management system, including a full-time temporary administrative support role, consulting legal support to be funded from the COVID-19 Safe Restart Grant.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. And picked up in there the legal support, but okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried. I forgot to do. Sorry to the public, I'm supposed to turn off my microphone when we're voting. That way the public can see how we're voting. That was unanimous. Council will go to item 5.3, which is our meeting schedule for 2024, proposed meeting schedule. Is there anything council would like to comment on or discuss? We meet on January 3rd. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, through the chair. I mean, I can't really quibble with the dates, but I was wondering if we could, as a side issue, get a little bit of a draft detail on these dates for major items that we can expect. I mean, I think we've learned over the last year, you know, certain things come up at certain times. But I think it would be helpful to have some of that integrated into a schedule so that we can, you know, have a little bit of a written feel for that. And the public could probably appreciate some of that finer detail as well.
Can you give
Thank
me an example? What are you thinking of?
Well, just regular things that come up, budget,
Budget, okay.
planning issues, when we should be reviewing, certain things, maybe come up with some that are in our strategic plan, like, you know, things we want, if we're gonna have any kind of measurable objectives or items we want to review, maybe tuck some of those in as a heads up so we can know when to expect them and prepare a bit of background research or have the different administrators prepare a bit for us. Just kind of like a working, I'm kind of a project manager, so I kind of like to know what I'm in for and then prepare for that. Because I didn't really see that. Also, there's a possibility for follow-up actions that we could perhaps know about and fill into that framework a little bit so that, you know, we can let the public know and also have a feel for when we would like to see things come forward. This is almost like a
Yeah,
planning
that's
document.
quite different. Of course, that's not, we can't plan that if it's based on input from the public. That'll be
No, I'm
in
not
reaction.
saying so much input
So-
from the public, but for us, we should have some follow-up actions and we should have something that shows us what they are and when we might expect them. Thank you.
I'll turn it over to Mr. Yates. I mean, I think we get a lot of heads up on big things because we may be going out to public consultation for something. You know, we've known the budget is coming and so on. So if there's specifics, I certainly support lots of heads up. But that's why I was probing. Councillor Yates.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, it'd be very difficult to do anything with this particular calendar to add bits and pieces to it. Staff does keep its own spreadsheet of upcoming things to keep me informed of when in the next couple of months, for instance, we might expect to see something. So I could certainly work with staff to try and get council at the very least, some idea that, yes, this is likely to hit in the next month or 2 months or what have you, to try and help you that way. And then, yes, communications can also look to see if there's anything they can do to try and get things out to the public as far in advance as possible.
Okay, please.
If I could just through the chair comment on one thing, for instance, I was talking to a community member and one thing in our strategic plan is some emergency preparedness. Like I know the SRD ultimately is responsible for, has a person in that role, but also as a community and as a strategic plan objective is we want to be able to have points in time where we can talk about that plan for that and get out in the community and see that it gets done. And so if we had something like that, it would even help community members know that it's going to be on the agenda and what can we do to help support meeting some of these objectives. Thank you.
And okay, I get that. Go ahead, Councillor Bill. I'll have to try it again.
There we go, through the chair. This is just more of a point of clarification. I know that earlier I had sent the email about the strategic plan, just in terms of where we're at in the process. It's my understanding, and just again, clarification, if this is the case, that, you know, we've now done the framework and we've picked our strategic directions. And my understanding is the next step is that we would look at preparing the action steps, which would include some measurable objectives and timelines. And I suspect that would come into that sort of yearly calendar. Is that kind of how it would work as together?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't like the word calendar. Exactly. Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult than that, but yes, no, as we wind our way through the budget process here and we find out what we're being funded for and what we're not being funded for, then staff go away and start working on the work plans to put their 2024 year together and you will get that. And then the quarterly reports are your accountability end of it.
Just so that's with the strategic plan as the document that we would work from, at least partly.
Yeah, that's our guiding.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Toth.
Thank you. This is pretty standard for us to adopt. I'm happy to move the recommendation on page 12 that it be adopted as presented.
Is there a seconder? Second. Okay, every year, I'd like to flag, why do we take time off in August? Because it's the most popular time to be in Sechelt. And we know that from our tourists. And very few of us, I did pay attention this summer, and very few of us leave because why would we leave such a wonderful place in August? So, because we can't get a ferry out of here. So I don't propose an amendment to the agenda, but we can always modify this later. But I think we're going to be pretty busy this year, council, and so plan your trips out other than August. All right, any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor of the calendar of events? Opposed? No. Carried. That done, we move to item 6.1 and we have Mr. Pearson here to explain what development density is all about. Let's see. Good.
Thanks, your worship. Can you hear me okay? Great. So this report on the agenda is a proposal to amend the district's official community plan bylaw. And the bylaw amendment is referred to 492-35. And it all boils down to one page in the OCP, figure 17. And that figure 17 is attached in the report for reference. And also as an attachment is another table showing the existing floor area ratios, the existing height references, and the proposed FARs, floor area ratios, and the proposed height references. Basically, this report stems from a motion from the Committee of the Whole on September 13th, 2 months ago, to proceed down this road. And the amendments are, for all intents and purposes, are fairly minor. There's a number of things that council should recognize when they're considering this. One is we're not talking about zoning bylaw regulations, which regulate density and height. We're talking about policies here for land use designations. And there's 4 land use designations that this amendment applies to primarily, and those are the special infill areas shown on the map attached to the report, the neighborhood centers, the multifamily mixed residential areas, and the downtown center. So although there is a map attached in your report, I thought that having this aerial photo up on the screen would be helpful to refer to the area that we're talking about the most with these amendments, and that is the core area of Sechelt that you see looking down. I guess you're looking north out of the plane there. I think that photo was taken around 2011 or maybe 2012 after the Watermark development was constructed, which you can see right at the forefront of the photo. That development, just for reference, for floor area ratio is quite small for FAR. It's only 1.3. And that's because floor area ratio is a relative measurement. It doesn't necessarily describe how big the building is. It's a relation of floor area to land area. It's that simple. So by changing some of the floor area ratio references in our OCP, what we're doing is we're signaling to the community and the development industry, we're opening our doors a little bit wider for more multifamily residential development, possibly mixed use, residential above commercial ground floor. And there's examples of that have already been built. There's at least 6 examples of proposals going through the system right now that have received approval for OCP amendments to increase density and in some cases height. And those applications were taken into consideration for this report, as were an analysis of 10 other communities, similar populations, ranging from 5,000 people up to 25,000 people around BC, with a similar geographical context, whether fronting onto lakes or the ocean, looking at Squamish, looking at Lake Country, looking at Colwood, looking at Gibsons just down the road. Gibsons was the smallest community in the analysis with just under 5,000 people, but I squeaked them in because they're our neighbors. And they have floor area ratio measurements in their OCP too, which is interesting. You do not have to use FAR. You can go with units per hectare, and that's what some of the larger places do. They don't have FAR. Some places have both, like Sechelt, like we do here. We have units per hectare measurements and FAR, which makes it a little bit confusing, and sometimes they don't mesh with each other. And that's why some of the amendments were proposed over the last 4 years. The report goes into explaining what FAR is. It talks about the relationship to the affordable housing initiative that we're working towards, the grant application to the federal government for housing accelerator funding, which we're hoping we'll receive an answer for soon, because that could be significant. If we are successful with that grant application, we'll be expected to open the doors to more than double the number of units that we've been approving here over the last 10 years. There's some growth projections in the report talking about what could be for population. And that's pretty much a summary of what I have here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a really good map, and I think it's 2014 or 15 because Watermark wasn't completed until about 2014, I think. So questions? I see Councillor McLaughlin's light is on, so you're up. Please.
Thank you through the chair. I'm wondering why you have included the infill area. If we look at the minutes, also where this was referred to, page 46 of 50, the last bullet says, the Planning and Development Division reported the official community plan update will focus on density in the downtown center and mixed family designations and will come to council November, whatever. But it did not include the Sechelt Village infill area. And so I feel that this is a bit of a planning surprise, and I'm not supportive of including FAR increases in the OCP for the village area, because as far as I'm concerned, it was not part of the deal coming forward. Thank you. I'm also looking at my papers.
Yes.
So, and what's proposed here
Let
is
me just back up.
an FAR of
Councillor
0.75
McLaughlin,
to
you
1.5, which is
Councillor
double the existing FAR, which is
Councillor
not
McLaughlin, please, a point of clarification. You referenced page 46 earlier.
page 46 of 50 in our package.
Yes. And
The last,
where?
the last
what-
bullet, please.
The last bullet on page 46.
Yeah. And I read it out loud, so.
Well.
So I have an issue with this. I mean, I know we're trying to update our OCP. I don't know what the rush is though, you know, I don't really feel that this is required at this point with the incoming information from the province in terms of homes for people or density infill or whatever we're calling it lately. We seem to get more information weekly on what that is. We don't know the details. So I think it's premature to do this. Also, I would like to see the regional strategy for planning at the SCRD be consulted first, because I think we need to plan our design intensity with the SCRD. We don't have a regional long-term plan yet for housing with them. It's been required, a regional growth strategy has been required since 1995. So really it's long overdue, and it's sitting on the table at the SCRD. Also, I don't feel that any resilience planning has been taken into account here. And some of our last policies, including the upzoning, all the upzoning of properties to allow, for instance, auxiliary dwelling units, in our recent zoning bylaw, said maybe we'll have 1,000 new auxiliary dwelling units, right? So we're all excited waiting for those. But in the last year, since it's been approved, I really don't see that happening. So you can have the policy and have good intentions, but I think we have to be realistic in Sechelt about what policies we have and where they're targeted and who they're going to affect, because I think this kind of upzone, well, it will be upzoning, you know, if we do increase the FAR by doubling it in the Sechelt Village area, has real impacts on the community. And I think it could encourage a lot of demolition of existing homes, a lot of speculation. And, you know, that could be very harmful to that community. We have a lot of renters. Probably half the people are renters. And also, landfill, we have a landfill shortage, and to have houses demolished for redevelopment, I think is another problem in terms of how to of realistically applying this policy. So I would like to see the part taken out from this report that includes the infill area, because I think that's very premature and not really what was requested or required. Also, the water implications are dramatic.
Can I bring, so we're clear, your suggestion is what? Which part of the report?
I would take out the special infill areas, because that really, I think, refers
So which
primarily
pages?
to the village.
Which pages are
Page
you-
29 of 50.
Thank you.
Because, you know, I realize we're trying to accommodate the province's desires and update our OCPs to some extent. But to throw the baby out with the bathwater sometimes by just having too much policy change without thinking it through is
Okay,
a problem.
Thank you, Councillor McLaughlin. So you're saying you would like to take out everything on page 29?
No, I think the table can stand, but take out the column or the row, I'm sorry, that has special infill areas residential.
Thank you. So that is, okay, so that's we're clear. Okay. Other comments? Councillor Shepherd.
Actually, to the chair, thank you. I'm actually in support of the recommendations. And if I, maybe for clarification of Councillor McLaughlin's point, special infill areas, residential, these are the recommended, perhaps I could direct it to Mr. Pearson. Are these the recommended floor area ratios? Not necessarily, it's not something the district's demanding when there's a new development. It's just a recommendation. Correct?
It's
Some-
in theory, it's a limit.
It's a bottom limit.
No, I think it's an upper.
It's an
limit.
upper limit, correct.
Yes,
So
right.
someone can build, I don't think, Councillor McLaughlin, I think your fear is overdone here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything, Councillor Bell, Councillor Toth? Anything? Nope. Okay, Councillor McLaughlin, did you want to? Wasn't sure if you're.
Well, yes, thank you through the chair. I mean, I would rather have a more fulsome discussion of this at committee of the whole and defer this then, and also have a chance to look at some of our planning with other agencies. Since we are doing a water summit together, I think it behooves us to, you know, for me in all good faith, to hold off on this, because I think it could have huge impacts on the village area. Better safe than sorry. I mean, I fought this battle before when someone suggested that all the lots should be subdivided.
Okay.
For a project. So that is, and the staff recommended that too. So I'm sorry. It's not right.
In your opinion.
As my opinion as a
Yes.
planner for 25 years. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Bell. please.
A clarification, through the chair to Councillor McLaughlin, are you saying that all of the lots? So what do you mean by all of the lots? This could be just some of the lots that we're looking at, in terms of subdividing. So what's the concern about all of the lots? I'm just not sure, how what your thinking is around that.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
not spot zoning. This is zoning. This will be zoning, or OCP applies to the entire infill area. So, you know, it could be large pockets of it.
Mm.
And I saw, you know, zoning changes in Calgary happen with infill buildings. And it really did totally change a community. And it wasn't really a nice process at all. And I would hate to see that happen here. Plus, you know, we haven't taken into account sea rise. The village is in line for some serious potential, you know, sea rise. and storm surges are even worse, more likely to happen.
Councillor McLaughlin,
So-
that may well be, but we're discussing density,
Yes.
not
So
discussing
I
whether-
think
how
we
we
could
would build
take
these.
time to look at some of those things, overlay that information and
Understood.
pick
You would
more
like to take-
appropriate areas for density and have a
So you would
further
like to take
understanding.
more time to
Yeah.
ponder this.
Yeah.
So I do note that this is here before us for first reading, which means that we will have other chances to review this as we go down the process.
Yes, thank you through the chair, but my experience is that things just proceed. We haven't had
Oh.
no said to any development that's come forward, including all these ones highlighted here, which none of them have been built. And they may not be built. But what will happen is the value of the land is hugely lifted through these rezonings and through these OCP changes. That's great for developers and landowners, but it can also have a terrible tax implication on existing residents where they could actually have to pay a lot more property tax and taxes and be taxed right out of their homes. Thank you.
Uh,
Okay,
Councillor
may I
Bell?
say one more?
Yes,
Yeah, so
please.
I mean, I'm not going to get into the argument around that because I don't feel that I have enough knowledge to do that. I guess the only thing is, what I like about the area in terms of looking at the villages is that we are very close to all of the services and there's benefit to having all of the service in place versus being spread out and having to put new services in. We may need to look at the services in terms of the capacity, but I think that's the benefit that I see at this point. So just want to make that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Councillor Toth.
Thank you. I hear Councillor McLaughlin's concerns about the infill areas. I need to do a little bit more of my own research on it. As was mentioned, this is only first reading. And this does include referring it out to a number of other agencies for feedback. Units per hectare needs to go from our OCP. And even if we do adjust the FAR ratios at a later date, it's still progress to move towards removing units per hectare. So I'm going to move the recommendations on page 15 as presented.
Okay, you forced me to get a seconder before I could ask my question. Okay, there is a seconder. Councillor Toth, do you want to say some more about why you think we need to get rid of units per hectare? This is, not to put you on the spot, but I think a lot of people need to.
No, it's
to
okay.
know this,
It's
and maybe we should be asking staff to answer that, but you get to go first.
sure. I'll take a stab at it and staff can correct me if I'm wrong or add to it because I know there's a lot of conversation, a lot of discussion and a lot of research going on around units per hectare. Ultimately, units per hectare allows, well, it encourages larger, more expensive units that people can't afford to buy or rent. Whereas, you know, the FAR allows somebody to build those expensive big units if that's what the market's calling for. But it also allows them to build smaller, more affordable units where, you know, maybe you only have one parking stall per unit or no parking stalls depending on the project. But it just offers a lot more flexibility from everything I understand to do
Okay.
with the terms. Thanks.
Is- Or, ooh. Coffee on a computer, not a good thing. Mr. Allen, do you want to jump in?
Sure. Thank you, your worship. Yeah, thank you. One prime example of units per hectare versus floor area ratio would be the property on Ebtide. When I first took on that file, we had an approval for a 7-unit townhouse complex. None of the units were selling. It wasn't the fit for the location. Moving into a rezoning and moving away from units per hectare into floor area ratio, we have an apartment building with 28 dedicated rentals, single bedrooms, bachelor units, etc. That one has been in delay for approximately 18 months for archaeological, but is expected to start in January. And that's a prime example of a success story in our downtown center or the mixed multifamily, an area designed for this type of use. Modernizing the policy allowed us to take the right step forward, and we're pleased with that one and are excited to see it start early in the new year. And so that's just a prime example. I could go on, but I just wanted to provide an illustration.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, it was a question. I wasn't completely clear on, you know, units per hectare. How big is a unit? And I couldn't quite do the arithmetic, but don't need that right now. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Well, in that case, maybe look at a policy that does make that change from units per hectare to FAR. But don't say in the village area that you're going to go from 0.7 FAR to 1.5. Like, that's my issue. That's horrendous in
Why?
terms of density.
Why is that horrendous? I mean, we need density. I think,
Because you'll probably have to demolish the houses that are there to do it.
I don't
And
know
that's going to
that.
put them in the garbage. And it's going to actually, it's going to displace a lot of people that are living there that are mostly elderly and
No,
renting.
I think
and
that's
in
inflammatory. That's inflammatory.
No, it's not.
Yes,
It's my
yes, it is.
knowledge of
No,
the village and the population that lives there. That's the truth.
Your truth.
It is, and I live there, so,
Oh,
and they're my neighbors, so I know them.
okay. Thank you.
And also another thing we could maybe do is have a policy that requires new dwellings that are built to be small. If that's what you say you want, then we could have a policy that does that. That's more important than saying you're going to double the FAR in the village.
Okay, processing that. Because FAR in itself doesn't define how you could build one big unit with the higher FAR, but you could also because, yeah, okay, I hear your comment. Anything staff want to add? No? No? Okay. Okay, we have a motion in front of us and these are, I believe, you, Councillor Toth had said, you were recommending all three of or moving all three of these recommendations. So perhaps everybody just make sure you read so you know what we're voting on. This is first reading and to consider the OCP amendment, et cetera, and refer out to various stakeholders. Okay, all clear? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councilor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. That means we then go to 6.1B on page 28. And this is, unless I've missed something. No. So this is for us for first reading. And that includes 28 and 29. Yes. Okay. So motion for first reading, moved, seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of first reading? Opposed? Councilor McLaughlin is opposed. The motion carries. We then move to 6.2A. And this is regarding Seashell Inlet Road and Seashell Inlet Crescent in the sewer service area. Folks, you've seen it. Happy, I'm sure staff would be happy to talk at great lengths about this if you wish, or if you don't wish. Would be even perhaps happier. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. Just a quick clarification. Looking at the map on page 31, given that Seashell Inlet Crescent is a fairly new industrial subdivision, are the rest of the parcels on Seashell Inlet Crescent already part of the sewer area, or are some of them, or are none of them? Thanks.
I think they all are, but I stand to be corrected.
They're not part of the area at this point.
None of them?
Yeah.
Oh. Learned something new.
To clarify, though, they are on our system.
Oh, they're connected, but they're not part of the sewer service area.
Correct.
So, okay. Go ahead, Councillor Shepherd.
Sorry, I need some more explanation of that if you don't mind.
So this is a area that staff needs to spend some time on. Those properties need to come into this sewer specified area. And we know that, we just need to go through a process with all the properties on that subdivision.
Go ahead, yeah, please.
Sorry,
Yeah.
so are the properties on those other lots, are they physically connected to the sewer system or
Yes,
they are?
yes. So they pay user fees, but they don't pay flat taxes or parcel
Parcel
taxes.
tax.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why?
Okay, I'll ask the question. Yes, why?
I can't tell you, I wasn't here
Yeah.
when that whole thing came about.
Mhm.
Came to light probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. And so it's something we have to go through a process with the lots and before we can incorporate that area into our specified sewer area.
So that is part of staff's work plan to figure out what to
Yes.
do about this.
Mhm.
Good. Okay, okay, Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. So in terms of the subject property, what is the use of the property? How many lots and what do we expect to see there if it is serviced?
The
It's
top
not-
of page
yeah.
31 references right now, it's into 9 lots.
Is it what use? Industrial use? Okay, so that's good to know. Could it be turned into residential use and they come here for a rezoning? Is that a possibility? If we do service it?
We do service it.
Yeah.
With or without sewer, I guess somebody can come and make an application whether we'd approve it.
Yeah, so
No.
that's a potential. If we service it, we're
Sure.
kind of opening up the door to higher use is my concern.
Okay.
And my concern is that it probably should stay unserviced so that we prevent this from happening and that it stays as industrial use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shepherd.
To the chair, I think this area sits within a light industrial zoned area. I don't see how anyone could come in and they'd be trying to set up a residential node within a light industrial area.
Yeah.
And
comment.
it is just, anything is possible. That's all I was referencing. I don't know why you would, but.
Right, if I
you
could
could.
comment on it through the chair.
When I acknowledge you. So I wanted to check, the staff, I heard some notes or some hands or something, so please, Mr. Allen.
And sure, not to belabor and Councillor Shepherd echoed my point. This is industrial zoned, industrial in the official community plan. The particular applicant has been working on this for many years and is keen to create usable and functional industrial properties, which would benefit from having a sewer connection on site for the variety of uses in the general industrial zoning, and we do not anticipate any change to residential.
Mhm.
But to echo your point, your worship, anything is possible, but it's not in any way
Unlikely,
anticipated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if we didn't do this, they would have enough land for sewer, septic.
Correct.
Okay. Councilor McLaughlin.
Yes, yeah, thank you through the chair. I guess my concern is that it's across from Edgewater Development, which was in an industrial area and was very introduced as fairly high, for Seashell at the time, fairly high density residential. So I'm a little concerned that it could kind of leap over. And I would, you can guard against that by not servicing it. Thank you.
All right, I don't think that's a factor in this myself, so, any other comments or? Councillor Bell, please.
Sorry, I feel like I'm watching a wild tennis match here. So this is a light industrial area, and so you're saying that this could be commercial then at some point?
No, I'm the one that introduced that it could be anything.
Okay,
In
okay.
theory, we could wake up one morning and rezone this to be agricultural land, city hall. So I wasn't being flippant, but I was saying just observing that in response to the question, yes, anything is possible. Is it likely? Probably not. Okay, so council, any other questions? We have recommendation to give first, second, and third readings to the bylaw, which is attached. And that's It's a motion from Counselor Toth. As written, Counselor Toth. Is there a seconder? See a seconder? Any other discussion? This is the recommendation as opposed to the three readings. Counselor Toth, please.
Thank you. I think actually getting sewer service to our industrial properties is a great idea because it makes it a lot easier for, you know, a brewery or a mechanic or somebody who might be doing something that if they were relying on septic could result in contamination of the ground and the groundwater to occur. You know, it's not supposed to happen, but accidents happen. So having them connected to sewer, I think, is a great opportunity to mitigate that. Thanks.
You like coffee on a computer? Okay, any other points on the motion? Call the question, all in favor? Opposed, Councilor McLaughlin is opposed, the motion carries. And council will go to 6.2B on page 38. And this is before us, if you wish, for three readings, which we, unlike the SCRD, still have to do them individually. Councilor Toth moved first reading, second, I'll second it for first reading. All in favor of first reading, opposed? Councilor McLaughlin opposed, carried. Second, I'll read it for a second time, and this is bylaw 393-4, 2023. Motion for second reading, seconded. All in favor of second reading, opposed, Councilor McLaughlin, opposed, motion carries. And for third reading, if it pleases you, motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of third reading, opposed, Councilor McLaughlin is opposed, the motion carries. All right, thank you, everybody. We move then to the minutes of the meetings. Meeting of November 1st. Councilor Toth.
Thank you. I had one minor correction on page 42 in my director's report that I did submit. Yeah, which was just to say that the first sentence there says that I attended a presentation. But really it was actually that the SCRD received an update on the groundwater expansion project on Keats Island. So I just wanted to make that clarification. It wasn't an external event anywhere. Thanks.
Okay. Other things? I guess I would note that in the council reports, I believe Councilor Toth and Councilor Bell both indicated you had nothing to report. I think that's significant only because you were attending, so I wouldn't want to appear like you hadn't been involved. And also on page 41, item 7.1, I think the reference clarifying that that all members of council are invited to attend the SCAF meetings. To ensure all members, it's not that we want everybody in council to attend every SCAF meeting. Okay, a few other bits, but we can go with it. If that suits everybody. Okay, a motion to adopt is amended, seconded. All in favor as amended? In favor, Councilor McLaughlin? Yes, thank you. Okay, so the meeting of Committee of the Whole of October 25th. To receive. Second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Carried, and the meeting of October 11th. Don't all speak at once. Councilor McLaughlin, do you want to move adoption or endorsement? Thank you. Second? Any discussion? All in favor? Got through that. Okay, from that, we move to no new business, and so we go straight into the SCRD reports. So Councillor Inkster's absence, the apostrophe on the end of the S is inappropriate, but go ahead, Councillor Toth, please. And before you start, congratulations on being elected vice chair of the SCRD. So,
Well, there goes my report. Thank you. I'd like to defer to Councillor Inkster for the rest of my report. Thank you for that. Yeah, I was acclaimed vice chair. I just wanted to say thanks to Director McMahon for her work over the last year. She works really hard for her community, and I think that the board is lucky to have her at that table. I'm looking forward to working with Chair Lee over the next year to drive forward some initiatives at the regional district. Now that the strategic plan is basically in the bag up there, and directors are getting more and more comfortable in their roles, we're going to be changing up hopefully a few of the committees, chairs and vice chairs. Water rates for 2024 are going to be going up by just over 11% overall, with Church Road online and the continuing struggle to adequately maintain the assets with everything getting more expensive. The reserves just aren't where they need to be in case of an emergency or a main break, things like that. The total combined water rates for 2024 will be going from 1,043 to 1,165, which is actually still in the bottom third when you look at water rates for comparable jurisdictions. There was a report a couple months back that the regional district looked at a number of other jurisdictions, and despite how much things have gone up in the last 5-6 years, we are still in the bottom third when you look at water rates compared to other jurisdictions. So that's my report for now. Thanks.
okay, thank you. I wasn't ready for this, Councillor Shepherd. No, nothing much in the last week. Meeting of the Sechelt Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of interest in the combined chambers of commerce and what their role will be moving forward, as opposed to what Scredo is doing. So a lot of work between them. So a very interesting discussion. Great. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you to the chair. I attended the Remembrance Day ceremony. I mean, I feel it, you know, it basically instills a lot of reverence, I think. I think with the various wars going on now, major wars, it really gives us, you know, makes us take pause about a lot of things. But I also support the Legion. I went to the Sechelt Legion afterwards. Well, that's about all I can say about it. It's a very important, I think, occasion and solemn, and hopefully things will be better next year. That's all I can hope, right? Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Councillor Bell.
Yes, just attended the community safety meeting, committee meeting today and chaired that for Councillor Rowe. And I just really want to say that I really want to thank this committee in terms of their commitment. They're busy people and they're so committed and to try and work on a number of issues and initiatives that we can hopefully move forward. And so we're being realistic about what we can do, but it's really good to have the perspective of that whole sector that we're represented across the coast. So I just want to thank that committee and again for their commitment. And we're all very committed to work on community safety. So thank you.
Job well done today, herding cats. Okay, for me, it's been another couple of busy weeks, 2 GMF meetings. Quite interesting to be involved in designing. They have the benefit of a very large grant for climate adaptation funding for municipalities. So we're working on how to be ready when and if the money is committed. $500 million is a lot of money. I actually had a reason to count them. I attended 15 meetings this past 2 weeks for Seashell activities. The first, one of the things was the Eastlink Talk to Your Local Government show, which you have to have Eastlink to see. So for those subscribers, you'll see Leonard Lee, Silas White, and me, if you can find it on the guide. Ice-T, we had a meeting, a quarterly meeting, community safety, as Councillor Bella said, in the Seashell Chamber Special General Meeting, which I guess was the final group for a vote to proceed with the merger. Council, you may be aware that we released, with thanks to staff, the mayor's message for November. That's on our website. And the team are in the midst of planning. I'll be in Ottawa in 10 days and for another GMF meeting. Conveniently, it's a week when no council meetings will occur, so I won't have to stay up late for our meeting. On that, though, I would welcome council's input. I want to acknowledge our MP Patrick Weiler, who's helping arrange meetings. So I'm going a couple of days early on my own dime to meet with people and promote items of importance to us. So if you have suggestions, please reach out to me or to our staff. For the public, as much council certainly knows it, we got a very big budget book yesterday, I believe, and this is what's going to consume us next week for 2 days. I know it's consumed staff for rather longer than that. And I encourage council, this is a really important thing for us to work on. And I have, there were some comments earlier, I think, but I'm concerned, 2024 is going to be a tough year for a lot of people. And so figuring out how to balance services that we want to provide with our ability to tax and keep it affordable is something we're really going to have to work on. I think I could leave it there. We will have a meeting with the other governments about water on Monday. And one thing I did want to say, somebody came up to me and said that I was against the 2 reservoir concept that's been proposed by our Seashell neighbors. And I guess I want to say to you folks, council, that's not correct. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't have the information that I think I need to make an informed decision. So I'm hoping that next Monday we will get really comprehensive information on costs and sizes and why it makes sense and capital costs and a whole bunch of things. In which case I look forward to throwing my support behind it. But in the meantime, we got lucky this year with the rain, but we really have to keep a focus on water and short-term water solutions. A couple of the last things, a reminder for those who don't go to Councillor Rowe's hockey game on the 2nd of December, that there's a parade here, as well as Rockwood lighting the lights, which is always a fun time. And if you want to, council, I hope those who can will participate in the parade in one form or another. And last but not least, I mentioned 2 weeks ago that there have been several people that I guess it's age, but 4 people I learned in month or so had been diagnosed or been indicated they had serious health concerns, and I'm happy to report that one of them has since learned that that was wrong. So she's okay. So that's very good news. Okay, so with that, I will see if there's anything else. Not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Seconded, all in favor of adjournment.